about fears. Let's talk about love. Yeah, I got fears, but I ain't got no love.
Oh, those are definitely in a notebook somewhere.
All right, now what is all this conversation about? Okay, you see that I've steered away a little bit from the questioning of Brenda. We went into it pretty heavily. But now what I want to do is I want to make him feel comfortable. He's on guard when I'm talking to him about Brenda. Um, so I want to establish a rapport with him, meaning, hey, yeah, I've been to your bar, I've been to your strip club, um, but I'm pausing it here for a specific reason. It's because of the way he's talking about these young, rich college girls that are good looking, and he had taken pictures of them topless, and he has them somewhere. Now, I'm not one to make a mountain out of a molehill. Listen, guys are guys. Some different than others, but do I find it odd that he would have pictures of topless girls? No. No, I don't find that odd. Now, some people that are watching this, they're like, "Oh my God, that's a huge red flag. Why is the detective not addressing this?" Um, Again, he opened up a strip club. If you have a strip club, more than likely it's one of two things, or both. You have an affinity for young naked girls, which most red-blooded American guys do, or B, you're in it for the money, which most red-blooded American guys are. So the more I'm learning about Carl, I think it's a combination of both. But what's important here is that Carl is involved, his name at least, with a missing, good looking, busty girl. That, along with some of the other red flags, not saying that she cleaned his house, she ran away, she was sad, all these things individually, I feel mean nothing. But the totality of them could mean something. So I just wanted to stop this video, this interview that I have with Crazy Carl, and address how the interview's going, why I'm getting away in the interview from Brenda. Listen, you don't want to. Is he a suspect? Yeah, you could label him a suspect. Okay, he's done enough red flags to me in this interview that during the course of the interview, my mind is changing a little bit from him just being a potential witness to, hey, he's giving me some indicators that I don't like. So my questions are shifting. My mentality in the interview is shifting. So, I purposely hammer him about Brenda to see where he's going to break, where he's going to minimize, and then move away from it. Get him back on my side. Okay, so what I want to do is now talk to him about the car, or the bar, get a common rapport. Women, me going and visiting his bar. Okay, to pull him back in so he drops his shoulders a little bit, and then I can start again with the Brenda questions. If you just go into an interview and you're just hammering about the subject, in this case Brenda, where were you that night? Tell me where you were. don't you feel guilty? You're putting the witness in a defensive stance, feeling attacked. I don't want that. Okay? I want to learn about Brenda. I want to learn about the bar. And as this interview is going on, you're giving me some red flags that are making me shift my line of questioning. So, I don't want you to be defensive. So I ask other questions to get a rapport with the individual. Now, I wish this interview that I conducted with Carl was face-to-face. But he lives in Florida. I live in Pennsylvania. And it just wasn't conducive to my schedule. Yet, I still feel a sense of accomplishment that I talked to Carl and got this interview. And at the end of this interview, I will give you my thoughts on how it went and what my thoughts are. But I just wanted to jump in and tell you why we're changing in this semi-red flag that most people will see about him keeping topless photos of these girls somewhere. Intriguing. I understand.
Yeah, I was hoping maybe someone would become governor, and I could make some money.
Right.
Well, I'm not that bad, but okay. So I know I know that I shouldn't get you off track because you don't do that. You stick with Brenda. But if you write a note, maybe you'll have a good idea on how to do this other thing because it just came back in my head a couple months ago, and I started crying all over again. Because it was so traumatic, I guess.
Yeah. Let me go over some notes, and I want to know why people suspect, when they talk about Brenda disappearing, the two names that show up that are suspects are Crazy Carl, is what they say, and Greg Paluzzi, or whatever his last name, Palazzari.
Palazzari.
Yeah. So why is that? I understand the boyfriend, but why do they point the fingers at you?
Because I'm Crazy Carl, but I never did anything bad. I never called myself that. That was other people. I just did things that were like different that people, sometimes wish they could have done, but they're like more, people are more, unless they go crazy, unless they turn into a murderer. People are pretty much reserved,
Right.
Democratic, kind of like easygoing, but things I did were like things. Sometimes I'd have people come, man, I wish I could do something like that. Like when I lost my license for a DUI for a year, you know what I did? I don't know what you know about me, my history.
Well, I know that you wrote a letter to the newspaper that was published about it.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, I read it.
Oh, no. I bought an Amish horse from somebody, from an Amish, and then an Amish carriage from another Amish family. And I lived 7 miles away, and I came in on a horse and carriage because you didn't need a driver's license to drive a horse and carriage.
Right.
Horse and buggy, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
So the CET one day took a picture of my horse and carriage and me on Pew Street, right across from the Skeller. And they said, because of high gas prices,
nice.
Carl Easterling decided to get a horse and carriage. But, I mean, that's a lot to do. I think it's a lot to keep up with to be a crazy guy, But crazy,
yeah.
Crazy is not always insane.
Right. Crazy is not a murderer.
No, my God. Oh, my God. I'm so I'm crazy about somebody who mistreat a woman or children.
Right.
But,
you didn't have any romantic interest in Brenda. You guys didn't mess around.
No.
Okay.
As far as I know, he brought her in there, and he was there. Like, as far as I know, he was there, usually there with her when she worked. But like you said, her car was there and he wasn't. So I doubt that he was weird or bad enough to do that. But I don't, it's so confusing. I mean, at least you had some experience. That was when that happened. Really blew me away. And of course, I'm like mad that I wasn't there that night. But I wouldn't have left. I leave with everybody.
How did the police treat you?
They, like I said, they didn't give me any kind of test or anything for it. They pretty much understood that I wasn't there that night, and whatever I could help them with, I did.
But they left you alone after, like, they interviewed you once?
Yeah, they didn't treat me like a suspect.
Good.
I don't think they ever wrote me down as a suspect, but unless they did, you'll tell me. But
no, I don't think
I would have done with a dead girl.
I don't think they have you as a suspect, Coral. I think it's the community.
People.
Yeah, when they can't get answers, they start pointing fingers at people.
No, there's jealous people out there.
Sure, yeah. I definitely run into that, so I get it. All right, well, that's all I got for you, man. After I go through these notes, I will send you a couple of things maybe on Facebook. I want to send you those sketches and see what you think. And maybe if you come up with any names of people that I should talk to, you can send them my way.
Yeah. Okay, and when you send those sketches, the sketches were they like people that they were like customers, I guess?
Right. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep.
So, then I was right. Then it was that slow of a night that it was just people at the bar. So she bartended.
Yeah, but you might look at one of them and say, "Oh man, I know who that is. That's so and so. Looks just like them." And then that gives me a lead to go follow up on. Especially if you don't remember seeing these sketches before. Now, if I send them to you, maybe it'll trigger your mind. You'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember these."
Well, like in your job, you've got to go far out in some of your ideas. Like maybe one of the bands were off that night because it was a Tuesday, and they came in there and she was overwhelmed, and everybody left at the drummer, say, and he was actually a crazy guy, right? And he did it, you know what I mean? Like something like that. If it wasn't playing like I think. Somebody that would have given her excitement and, like, oh, the band's here. But, I have nothing like that never came up. I just think, something that sparked her interest. If she had to have been into the guy, no matter what, no matter if it was a plan thing or it was that night thing, she had to have liked that guy more than Greg. Right. There had to be a lot of interest there. So if he just took her out and killed her, or he took her away, that's kind of crazy. But,
Did you ever hear, before I let you go, did you ever hear of any rumors of where she was buried?
No.
Nothing.
Never heard about chopped up or laying somewhere. Or never heard anything. If I would have, I wouldn't have let it go. Because
I heard the rumor, and again, I don't believe in rumors, but somebody said that she was buried at Greg's Sunoco there in State College under some concrete.
Well, was there fresh concrete there?
Well, I don't know.
I doubt it.
Right. That's just something I heard.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. That's for people, there's a big thing between, like, if somebody tells you something, you kind of know if it's a rumor or if it's coming from the source, the way they say something.
Right. Okay. Well, hey, Carl, I appreciate you giving me a call and talking to me more than you know.
Yeah. What does that mean? I'm just kidding. All right. Well, I'm glad that the two of us got together. I mean, even though that I'm more important than a TV guy,
That's for sure. I don't disagree with you. But let's stay in touch, and if you need anything from me, don't hesitate to shoot me a text or whatever. Are you still there?
If I come up with names of bartenders, do you want to know them?
Yes, please.
Okay, well, I'd write the Wendy name down. I'm sure you did. But
Yeah.
I'll think about it, and you know what I'll do is I'll probably talk to somebody that used to come out there and say, "Hey, who was my bartenders?" You know, and then they'll come to me when they start talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know one guy, a buddy that came to my, he's a good friend of mine now. He came to the Ace Frehley concert because he's an Ace Frehley Kiss fanatic. I'll see. I talk to him like about every night. He's got a girlfriend, but the girlfriend, she worked for me at Cadillac Alley.
Okay.
Not as a dancer, as a
waitress,
little kind of worker. So yeah, I'm gonna talk to him tonight. Say, hey, you know, when you ever were out there, do you remember who was bartending?
Okay.
Because I don't think me and him ever talked about that night at Brenda. So, all right, Ken. Yeah, it actually, you know, I'm glad I talked to you, and you know, hopefully you'll get somewhere with that, and you'll figure out another when your head gets like a dual dimensional. You know, think about something what has to do with the '60s there.
Okay.
I mean,
you got it.
Right?
You got a deal, buddy.
You are plugged in. Take care.
Thanks, Carl.
Hey, bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so there was my interview with Crazy Carl. My impressions. It's hard to wrap my brain around some of the things that Carl is alleging. The doorman. Again, and I don't know if it's because he's guilty of anything nefarious or he's guilty of neglect and he's covering his ass. Through my research of Carl, I have noticed it's all about money with him. Not only my research, but also some things that he's said to me. So it's possible he's making up this story about the doorman. One, to cover his own butt in regards to neglect, maybe a possible civil lawsuit there. Although I don't think there would be cause, but I don't know. But he also comes off as a good guy to me. Now, Ted Bundy came off as a good guy to a lot of people, right? They couldn't even imagine that he did these things to people. And I always say you never know what people are like behind closed doors. So Carl has given me indicators that I don't like. But he's also given me answers that make sense, that he has nothing to do with this. So it's a combination of both, and you know, I'm not sure that interview moved the ball for me in this investigation. If anything, I see why people may consider Carl a suspect in this case. I certainly am not going to move him and forget about him. Okay? This doorman business, and you know, he indicated chop her up twice. Again, could mean nothing. But these are my initial thoughts after interviewing Carl. The continual theory that she ran away and that she sent the doorman home. That makes no sense to me. If that was her second or third night working, does she have the authority to send the doorman home? I mean, that doesn't make sense. First of all, it's a Tuesday night. Not many people, I don't even think a doorman would be there. His talk about Greg always being there. Well, we learned from Iris that Greg and Brenda used to attend Carls Bad Tavern as patrons. Carl admitted him and Greg were loosely based friends. The more I think about it, it bothers me a little bit about the allegation that he sends her home. Now, he did mention about having sex in the bathroom. That caught my attention too. So, listen, if I was a know-it-all and pretended that I knew everything, I could certainly point the finger and say, hey, Carl is guilty. I would never do that unless I had evidence. There is no evidence of that here. And I can't say because of this interview. I will say there are discrepancies. There's things that he said that are absolutely not true. Okay? But there's other things that he said that are very true. So he's 70, what did he say, 75 years old? His mind is sharp on certain things, but yet vague in other things. Now, that's the part that bothers me. Vague about Carls Bad Tavern, but very sharp about Cadillac Alley and other things. Now, is that how a 76-year-old mind works? Very possible. But there's some people that are going to look at this interview with Carl and point the finger at him. But then there's others who are friends of Carl, and he has a lot of friends who are going to say, there's nothing wrong with this interview. That's life. 50% are going to like you, 50% are going to hate you. That's about how it is. Believe me, trust me, I know it's the same with me. But whether somebody likes you, that has nothing to do whether they believe you. Carl throws off a lot of red flags to me. I will say that up front. I said it during the interview. I stopped, explained to you what bothers me about it. I'm not saying he's guilty. I want to make that clear. The fact that he said he was never offered or never took a polygraph. Again, that's not the information that I received. I received that he refused a polygraph. Now, maybe that's not true. But I do know that Brenda's sister and Brenda's ex-husband each took polygraphs. Ex-husband, I can see. The sister taking a polygraph. She took a polygraph. I am sure that they asked Carl, but he says they never asked him. He says he never was a suspect. Maybe the cops don't consider him a suspect. I don't know. I haven't talked to any police officers about that. I know a community at large do. And everyone that I talk to seems to say that Carl is shady. I don't understand that. What makes a person shady? Is it because he owned a strip club? Big deal. Is it because he owned a bar that had a bad reputation? Big deal. A man's trying to make money. That's just what he knows. He knows the entertainment business. Seemed good at it. Owned a lot of bars. But then I see that he owned the owners of Carls Bad Tavern, the building, money. And shares foreclosed on his stuff. And I'm going to get into all that when I talk about Carl at a greater length than this. This is just, I want to end this with my assessment, my thoughts on my interview with Carl. Very grateful that I got that interview. I don't know. What I would love to do is match that interview up with the original back in 91 when he spoke to police and look for discrepancies. I I do that a lot in cold cases. That's paramount. I don't have the ability as of yet in this investigation to do that. Now, if there is discrepancies, you can chalk it up to say old age, memory. Yes, for some things. But some things you will remember. It bothered me that he didn't remember the year that Brenda went missing. He's like, what year was that? You know, it's almost like he doesn't care. It didn't bother him. I don't know. He's all over the place for me to get a handle on things. Okay? So, you know, as much as Carl, who's watching this, doesn't want it to be, you said some things that bother me. So I got to dig deeper. It's not an indictment on you. It's just, unfortunately, you're lumped into this investigation. And I've talked about that before. Innocent people getting lumped in. And I don't like that. But, hey, let's clear your name if you have nothing to do with it. And I will put that out. So work with me on that. If you do have something to do with it, well, it's my job to try to figure that out and be as transparent as possible with the people from Bellefonte, Zion, Milesburg, State College. They deserve it. 33 years of this mystery. So that's my assessment on Crazy Carl's interview. I got more research to do in him. You know, because of this interview, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper. That's what I do. Okay? So, with that said, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode of Brenda, Mystery at Carlsbad Tavern. Until then, mains out.